All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What is going on? Wins a lot. My lanes, aka Keith, Lucky, Gangrene, Colin, and my man Matt. Hope everybody out there having a great Monday. No time to waste. 8 games on the slate. 7 p.m. Eastern start time all the way to 9:30 Eastern. So relatively spread out, but we do have majority of the games within the first 30-minute window. Definitely plenty of Q tags we'll go through. Like always, Matt, how we doing on this fine Monday afternoon?
I'm good, man. Obviously, I'm not in my normal stomping grounds. A little bit of vacation over here for a few days, but we're good, man. Always a little bit nerve-wracking when you're not in your elements, but happy to be out of town for a few days, the first time in a while, because we were talking before, had some life things come up in between then. So always happy to get away for a few days. Yeah, I think my internet should be great. So ready to rock here.
Absolutely, yeah. Matt goes from Cleveland, Ohio, or right around there, which, I don't know, not my favorite. Midwest, I already spent enough time there, all the way to the great state of Florida. So I think you might be in a little better place right now. But
have you actually spent time in Cleveland, though?
I have not, but I've spent time in Wisconsin and Michigan and a little bit of Minnesota and Kentucky. Like I kind of get the gist. I mean,
I'll accept it if you throw Wisconsin in there with it.
Oh, yeah. I lived in Wisconsin. Okay. I'll definitely throw Wisconsin in. That's why I moved out for sure.
Yeah, totally fair. It's 30 and snowing in Cleveland today, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. No, Wisconsin, I'm throwing right in there with Cleveland. I look at it very similar. But hey, I mean, you get your good days for sure. But I mean, it's 94 or something right now. And my grandpa was telling me it was like 30 and snowy or something like you said there. So can't pass that up. Matt is in Florida, though. We got 8 games on the slate. Ricky, Jose in here as well. All we ask, like button, subscribe button. Helps us out a ton. And why? Clint, very nice of you. Yeah, I guess do you have any like broad slate overview? It's really tough. Like there's just always so many Q tags. If you're playing in the NBA, as always, you should be around your computer from start to finish. The later the season goes, that even applies even more. I guess just sorting by ownership, I'll say broad slate ownership. Toronto, Orlando, Orlando. The first 6 guys up there in terms of ownership. So pretty condensed in terms of teams that's getting ownership. But 8 games on the slate, there's always going to be sub 10% plays to get you different while eating the chalk. So that's mine.
Yeah, mine's similar. I mean, there's always an NBA, and especially on a night like this where you've got really clear value that stands out, but also contests like the Millie Maker that are extremely top heavy. Where do we feel comfortable getting different? Because I don't think the winning lineup tonight in like that contest is just going to be the top 5 plays on this sheet and then the 3 spend ups. You know what I mean? It's just not going to work out like that. But a couple of these guys will be in there. Like, who do we feel comfortable potentially getting away from is kind of my overarching theme outside of just the Raptors and Magic. It's impossible to get away from those 2 teams altogether, but how much do we need to play? Who can we get away from, etc.?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great call. Big boy contest, 3-3-3-3 out there. So I'm multiple Shipping Nation members in that extremely top heavy. Like you said, you're playing for first place. There's really no other way around it. Like a lot of tournaments nowadays, but your total ownership on those teams, I'd be a little cautious about, or flipping a roster construction build from the chalk build, or doing something different amongst your teams to get all the way to the top, since there is a good amount of people in there. And again, I mean, you take second or third place, you're going to be really, really happy. Don't get me wrong, but you will be 10 times more happy if you're taking first place or something like that. It's night and day from first, especially to like 5th place there. So know what you're playing before you get into it. Flagship always very top heavy as well. But if you're in like the $100 or something, the $12, if something's more spread out, you can get a little chalkier that way. Our guy Little Neck showdown season is almost here. Very excited for that. In the playoff streets, nobody better in the business than Little Neck. Still doing it right now, Monday through Friday. NBA showdown slate plan. You can check out his work. Phenomenal job. But yeah, when playoffs come around, prizes get bigger. rotations get more condensed, and it's more like you have to watch basketball. It's harder to project minutes and all of that because game to game, teams can absolutely switch up their game plans, go big, go small. Like we saw the Steven Adams, Sengun stuff last year with the Rockets. Like it's definitely where you watch the games means a lot more than a lot of regular season stuff is a lot easier to project. All right. I say we get right into it. The first game of the night, the San Antonio Spurs and the Miami Heat. 3.5-point favorites are the Spurs. Big boy total, 243.5 on the Spurs side. Devin Vassell is questionable. And on the Miami side, I am seeing no injuries on the Miami side. So 1Q tag in this one. We obviously will get the news before lock. Sorting by ownership, Wemby, Bam, Fox. I mean, it's kind of the story of the slate. We showed about the Magic and the Raptors, but there's so much value on especially the Raptors stuff where, I mean, when we go through these games, maybe we'll find some pivots in the value range. I think there's more so. I'd rather pivot in the mid-range of the upper tier for the most part. Again, Wemby only 27%, Bam, Fox, but I think it's really spend ups or bust in this one, and they can only get better if Vassell does miss. How do you see this game?
I see it the exact same as you because, like, you got Castle back for San Antonio, so their prices are a little bit inflated for him being out a couple games. So I don't really think those guys are reasonable pivots off of the Toronto and Orlando value. Like, San Antonio has good players, so I wouldn't be shocked if a couple of guys get there, but I don't think anyone is like priced where they look that desirable for DFS purposes outside of Wemby and like just spend up situations because you have money to get there. Especially if we get Jalen Johnson out also, or is he might have been ruled in the past.
Let me look right now because I know he did miss yesterday. Still questionable.
Okay, yeah. Like if he gets ruled out, I mean, not only do you take a premier spend up option away, you add in a bunch of more value. So Wemby would then become even that much more appealing. Luka is really expensive and not the greatest spot. So yeah, I think it's Wemby or bust. Honestly, from this game, Bam has shown obviously massive upside a couple times, not only in that, insane scoring output, but also a couple games ago, I think against Houston, where he had like a ton of rebounds, put up 70 fantasy points, but I don't think I'm getting to Bam at 9,200. The Miami value, though, there really is none. So, yeah, I'm totally with you here. Like, I just don't really think if you're playing minimal lineups here, you can make reasonable cases for these guys over the other really good value we have. I think it's spend up options or nothing.
Yeah, I don't think this is the spot again. You want to go to value. If there's no Vassell, I'll ask you this. If there's no Vassell, could you maybe make a case for Champagny, or is it too thin on this slate? Fox, Castle, how much of a boost do they get? I mean, Vassell, more so just a shooter. The usage doesn't change like too much, but like Champagny, will you be able to get to him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like a bad play, but I don't think he stands out over necessarily like a Keldon Johnson, who would also look better. I think both those guys, the fringe players on San Antonio would look better. So if I were playing 150, I'd want exposure to them in one lineup. Man, I don't know if you can get to anything there, even with the sell out.
Yeah, it's pretty much Wemby or bust. Really tough matchup for Bam. He does have power forward eligibility at least, but maybe Fox, Castleback hurts him a little bit. But yeah, it's mainly just a spend in Wemby. Otherwise, I do not think this is the best game to target. Next game on the slate, big favorite. Actually, I want to say a couple more people trickled in. Giddy is your guy. Ship it. So we just have our graphics guy puts a random guy up on our cover photo every single time. There is no rhyme or reason at all. MMA, it's always the main event favorite. So there is a rhyme or reason for that one. Other than that, for any sport, it means absolutely nothing. So I wouldn't look too much into that. Literally wouldn't look into it at all. Colin, always great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Do you know if it's a boy or girl yet, Colin? Let me know. I know you announced that you were having a kid last time, which is awesome. AX in here, Ricky in here. Baby's doing great. I appreciate that. Hi, Smith. Good day, people. Good day to you. Hope everybody out there having a good one. I do not think Philly will be having a good night tonight as 16.5-point underdogs taking on the OKC Thunder. 226.5 total in this one. No Ajay Mitchell on OKC. As far as Philly, no new injuries, but they do have Quentin Grimes and Dominic Barlow as questionable tags. I guess that could open up maybe a little more value. I mean, again, we have enough value on this slate, but no, let's see. Justin Edwards, maybe Watford. I don't know if Campaign would come into play. I think actually at the end of the day, they're probably running just too many bodies. Edgecombe will be the guy that takes majority of the usage, but he's 8,500. It's really tough for me to get there. I guess there's just too many value plays, even if Grimes or too many guys in the rotation, even if Grimes and Barlow miss, it's still probably tough for me to get to Philly. Do you see it the same? And then OKC side, I mean, yeah, they're pretty much healthy and they're supposed to win by 16.5. So really just maybe Philly value if you can talk me into something.
I can't. I think that the point you made 5 minutes ago about what would much you would prefer to get away from the chalky spend up or mid-tier options as opposed to the value is right on line with how I'm thinking. And I'm not going to get away from the good value tonight to play these guys on Philly. The interesting stuff from this game for me comes from the spend up options again, just because we'll have money to spend and they won't get love. Edgecombe, tough to get to. 8,500 game could easily get out of hand quickly. But if it doesn't, he's going to be a big reason why. And he's shown huge upside 2 games in a row, like especially 2 games ago. So yeah, like if I'm playing one lineup, probably not getting there, too much risk, but I think he's a really good separator in a tournament like the 3-3-3-3 that we were just talking about, where you can play a lot of chalk around him and you're playing for upside here. So yeah, I feel the same about OKC as I do Philly, like SGA at 10-8. Like I could see playing Edgecombe and SGA together and then all the chalk value. You're going to have money to do it. You just won't be able to get to other spend up options, but that's okay. If SGA goes for 70 and Edgecombe goes for 50, like you'll take that right now. So again, I don't know if I'm going to play that, but it's appealing again in a tournament where, I don't want to say it's first place or bust because I completely agree with how you put it. Like, of course you'd be happy with second, third, but the real, like when you start talking about the difference between first and like fifth, sixth, I mean, it's not fun. So the guys in this game, I think, could be good separators with upside. So that's how I see it. I'm not playing value here over Toronto or Orlando value.
I agree. So Ricky said Barlow's out. I'm seeing 3 hours ago, they downgraded Quentin Grimes with an illness to questionable, and they upgraded Barlow to questionable. So Grimes a midday downgrade and Barlow an upgrade to questionable. So I'm still seeing that, and I haven't seen anything since to rule him out. So if someone's
I also see that.
Okay. So would you be able to get to Trenton Watford if like Barlow was out and Watford started at 4-4? Obviously, it's still not an easy matchup by any means. You're competing with like kind of a Sandro. I know Sandro's just center eligible, but like he's a value down there. There's plenty of value as we go through, but would he be one like power forward value? I guess isn't great on this slate. So could you get there if he started?
I don't think it's about power forward value. Like I think it's just about how much overall value there is. So
Which is a lot.
That's why it's hard to get there. But to your point, like throw him in the mix, right? With the downgrade for Grimes and the upgrade for Barlow, I'm kind of more encouraged on Barlow than I am Grimes, and would kind of expect him to play and Grimes to sit, but we'll see.
I mean, there's still 16.5-point dogs running a big rotation with a lot of uncertainty, like as the game goes late in the fourth quarter. And I mean, you have real price tag on Edgecombe, and then these other guys. Like I couldn't imagine playing Bona or Drummond at center, wasting a spot there. If Grimes was out, like maybe a Campaign, maybe, but feels tough. Watford would that be my favorite. And I guess, like you said, a contrarian spend on either side. I don't hate, but I think there's other better ways to go about this slate than that game. So we'll keep it rolling too. Good real life game for sure in this one. Detroit Pistons and the Los Angeles Lakers. 1.5-point favorites are the Lakers. 225.5 total in this one. No new injuries on the Detroit side. No Sasser. They're still without Cade. As far as The Lakers, no Rui and no Marcus Smarts, sorted by ownership in this game. Jenkins, Duran, Luka, and then absolutely nobody after that. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned kind of a difficult matchup for Luka, but we have the money on this slate, and we know his type of upside. I mean, man, he's been going nuclear. No Cade leaves a big role for Jenkins. Duran looks expensive at 8.4K, and the big thing with him is he's just center. We talked about Wemby. There's Sandro. Those are by far the ones that are going to take up the most. I think Duran's an interesting pivot when you're not clicking more than likely Wemby. I think Duran Wemby lineups are a little harder to get to than Duran and Sandro. But yeah, I mean, he has big boy upside in this game. Should be competitive. Minutes will be there. I have interest. What about you?
Yeah, real quick, I do want to shout out the Jared McCain revenge.
Everyone,
I know
yeah.
people, everyone's calling it out. So yeah, obvious spot where OKC could roll here, and I'm sure, wouldn't be shocked if he gets a little bit extra run going back to his old spot. So yeah, he looks good here just based on price and no AJ Mitchell anyways. So yeah, I think he's the guy actually. How much? Oh, let me look, see how much he's projected in a couple places.
He's one right now that I think will be like he'll show up a lot. Like he's 0.38% saber sim hazard or whatever it may be. Like I think people will talk about it and see it, and he could get up to like 7 or 8%. But I mean, there is definitely merit like that. There's a wide range of outcomes in that projection. I definitely do think they'll send McCain out for a lot more minutes if this game's out of hand, just to show something, to prove something. I mean, he's good. He's a hooper. Like he can put the ball in the basket. So I do agree that projection is too low. I probably would manually bump that up, but I would also bump up his ownership. Do you see it that way too?
I do see it that way, and I do think it's hard to get to him over like the Toronto and Orlando value, but I think he's in the mix. Like there are a ton of ways where he outscores those guys or is right on line with those guys. But know that that's what you need. Like with, you need him to outscore for sure, like Jamal Shed, Javon Carter, like those guys, which he can do. Yeah, he's in the pool for me for sure. I think McCain is a good differentiator. Even though we don't love getting away from the chalky value, I think someone like McCain makes some sense to do if that's the route you want to take. That's how I'll put it.
Yeah, no, I agree. McCain's definitely. I would boost his projection personally. It just really comes down to like where you think he gets to in ownership. I think maybe he's higher owned in the 3-3-3-3 than he is the flagship. Usually a sharper contest.
More hand builders.
More hand builders. Yeah, I think people are going to be on that a little bit, but I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, when I say on it, 5%, 6%, I'm just talking relative to the 0.38% that we're looking at here. Anything else?
I'm kind of surprised to see him projected for such low ownership, given what we know about the DFS industry. And I mean, not that you're going to project the revenge stuff, but just the fact that AJ Mitchell's out in a very much blowout scenario here. So I don't know.
I'd move his projection up. I can see it. The more I think about it, the more I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Lakers, Detroit, Luka's a spend, Duran.
Yeah, I like that call. So going back to the Lakers Pistons game, I think all three of the main guys you mentioned, starting with Jenkins, looks like the best play in this game from a points per dollar perspective. He's just productive with no Cade. The price tag is getting up there where he's certainly on a must play on this particular slate when you've got guys like Shed and Kennedy Chandler, like ton of good guard cheap options, Javon Carter, who I mentioned. But Jenkins is solid, and he had a really big game last time out. If he gives you that performance, 6K, you'll take it all day. So he's certainly a really good option at point guard, if not the best option on the slate, just because there's really good value tonight. I like the Duran call. Ownership pushed down now with Sandro popping everywhere. And I get it, but I also like this spot. I think this game could be competitive. We've seen him smashed with no Cade. So I like Jenkins and Duran. And then, running it back with Luka. He's been on fire lately. I'm a little bit hesitant just because he had been so scorched earth for like a couple games and a half in a row. I mean, last game, I thought he was just going to absolutely annihilate the slate after the first quarter. Only ended up with like 60 fantasy points, had 40 some at halftime.
Yeah.
little bit hesitant to go there, like after that second half, knowing he's going to get ownership. Like if it were Jokic getting a ton of love on this slate and he was a low-owned pivot, I think I'd be more on board. But I think his ownership is going to rise just because we're going to have money to spend. That said, there are really good guard value options. So maybe it won't.
I
The
think Wemby
Jalen
will be
Johnson
higher
news is
owned.
pretty big. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think Wemby's going to be higher owned for that last point you made about the value guards that we do have, and him being $1,200 cheaper than Luka. But I don't know. Maybe it's pretty close. Again, center's good with Sandro, but a lot of people will go Sandro, Wemby, and then there's just so much guard value or Jenkins in the mid tier that people will fill out there. But yeah, the Jalen Johnson news could affect that stuff as well. With more mid tier guards and stuff like that opening up as well as value.
Yeah, because Atlanta's in like a premier spot here. So I'm interested. The Jalen Johnson news could really like shift this slate on its head.
Like
It's
CJ
already
point
wonky.
guard, shooting guard, Dyson shooting guard, small
Yeah.
forward, Naw point guard, shooting guard. Like those guys would definitely.
Okongwu, Mohamed Gay, like all these guys look infinitely better in a premier spot against Memphis. So, and then on the flip side of that, if he's in, he looks good because we've got a lot of center and guard value, Sandro
Yeah.
and all the guards. So interested to see what happens there.
Yeah, no, we'll get to that game and break it down a little more. I definitely would like Jalen Johnson if he did play, even with the big spread. He could get there in 3 quarters. But yeah, I think it's Luka. I think it's Duren. I think it's Jenkins, or you're pretty much forgetting about this game. Is how I see it. We'll keep it rolling.
Completely agree.
Next game on the slate, Orlando Magic and the Indiana Pacers. 12.5 point favorites are the Magic. 231.5 total in this one. On the Orlando side, why it's getting some ownership is no Jalen Suggs. So Javon Carter will definitely be pretty popular. On the Indy side, Siakam, Nembhard, Neesmith, and Obi Toppin all questionable. Sorting by ownership in this game, like you see it, is all on the Orlando side. It's really tough to get to Indy right now. They're not trying to win. They don't even know who's in. They don't know who's out. You don't really know where the minutes are going. If you have a crystal ball, Matt, and you can let me know because they're all going to be 1%, I'm all ears, but that side seems like a pretty easy cross off. Orlando, though, like you said, or like I mentioned, no Suggs. So Javon Carter starting at 3.6. Point guard, shooting guard eligibility will definitely go a long way. I think Paulo will be very popular. You can easily go Wemby or Luka, and then Paulo is your next spend. I think that'll be a pretty popular route. I do think if you go like Paulo is your most expensive and then jam mid-tier, could be a way to get a little different on this slate. Bane, Tristan Da Silva, both showing some ownership there. I don't know. I wouldn't make a min one rule, but I think a lot of my teams will have at least one Orlando guy on them, whether it is Carter and a spend. I don't know. I guess I'll throw it to you on this game, but would you play Bane and Paulo together in a hand build?
No, I personally wouldn't.
Right.
Certainly not in like if I were playing one lineup. Maybe if I were hand building 20 plus lineups, then you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. To answer your question, like right off the rip, no. I have a problem with that way of building tonight, the way of like spending up on Paulo and then filling it up on the mid tier. Not that you know what? Like, again, I'm just talking this out. Like, there are really good mid tier plays. It's just the value looks very hard to get away from. The problem with the value, I guess, is there just aren't that many spend up options. So, like, if the spend up options don't do great, then I could see maybe, like you're talking about, like, because there are other mid tier guys, like, we'll get there. Sengun, who I like a lot tonight, that's not getting ownership. So, at first, I was ready to be like, I don't like that build. And I still think the value build is going to be more optimal. I could see it because there aren't that many spend up options. So, to that point, Paolo himself looks good here. He should smash when he's on the court. Not going to be surprised if Orlando just takes care of business early here, just after that bad loss to the Lakers. Indiana not trying. But with a lack of spend up options, he looks good in this spot, no doubt about it. Really, Orlando, though, Javon Carter, very, very hard to get away from. 3,600 has been decently productive at this price tag, anyways. Now you get no Jalen Suggs to go with no Anthony Black, etc. He should get all the run he can handle. Like him a lot. Noah Penda is an interesting, I guess, contrarian value guy that I've seen projected ownership wise all over the place across the industry. But if he's going to be unowned at 3,200, I'm interested. I don't want to play a chalky Noah Penda tonight or any night ever. But if he's not going to get any love in a game, I think Orlando kind of rolls. I'm interested. So we'll see kind of how the ownership dust settles there. Bane, you mentioned Bane. Yeah, could definitely play Bane. Could play him over Paolo. I guess I'll lighten my stance on not playing them together just because I could see Orlando just nuking the Pacers here. It just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to allocate that much salary for both those guys, but it's not like I would be surprised if both of them got there. I think is the best way I can put it.
Yeah, it wouldn't be my favorite way to click them both. In hand builds, when I was saying that, like 5 teams or less or whatever, I wouldn't do it personally. But if SaberSim gives me it in 20 teams or more, I would trust it. I just looked at the correlation, which you can do if you just click on any player. You can see their correlation with another teammate, 0.01. So really not negatively, not positively, pretty neutral. Penda, yeah. So, I mean, I definitely think right now our SaberSim and Chipit are under projecting according to the market. I think this number is probably closer to like a 17 mark because I think these minutes will be up right around 20. But I still think the ownership, it's not going to be 0.2, but it might be like 5. Like I'd be shocked to see, with all the other value that we do have on this slate, to see Penda being the guy that gets over 10 or 15%. Personally, it's the small forward, power forward eligibility kind of. When you do want to play Luka, a Wemby, and you're blocking yourself out on some of the obvious value, maybe that's why people go to there.
Is a great example of what you talked about earlier. Like it's hard for projection systems right now. Even with a team like Orlando that's trying. I mean, I'm seeing some places that Penda projected for like damn near close to 25 minutes here. Like that difference. I'm not saying that that's right or anything like that. I'm just saying the difference is insane in NBA because usually you don't get that.
For sure. This time of year, we talk about it a lot. There's a lot more variance in the projection, and it's the minutes. At the end of the day, projecting NBA, you see this column, fantasy point per minute, and you see minutes. From there, I mean, yeah, there is a little more to it. Suggs is out. What is this usage due to this? The touch time, all that good stuff. Rio does a phenomenal job deep diving NBA slate plan. You can check out his slate plan, upper tier, mid tier, lower tier. Not going to show that off, but projecting minutes is key to NBA DFS for sure. And it only gets harder as the year goes with more uncertainty, even on a team like this, but also can bring you a bigger edge because a lot of people still will blindly just put it in and run with it. There's one other. I do think if Paulo was my highest priced spend, I think more than likely that would be with Jalen Johnson being out. So the mid-tier, the 7K range, like the Nas, the CJ, the Dyson Daniels, the Kongwus would be even stronger than the current mid-tier right now. So I think more than likely, again, it's not going to project as the optimal build. If you're trying to get different, though, Paulo being my most expensive, more than likely Jalen Johnson would have to be out. So I would get to some of those Atlanta guys.
I think that's a great point, though, because I kind of have been talking about Jalen Johnson as if all this value would open up. No, it's that all this mid-tier stuff would open up. So that's a good point.
Absolutely. Before we do go to the next game on the slate, I just want to show, if you are looking for Rio's core, Matt's core, the NBA slate plan, the Stone, the cash report, projections, ownership, of course, DVP rankings for the full year or the last 2 weeks, you can find that right here at chipination.com. All you got to click is join the nation in the bottom left to see all of our different packages. You can get in as low as $9 for the day. Get you SaberSim, no Discord, though. I think the better deal, 5 days for $19. You get Discord, you get SaberSim, you get access to all these sports above, and that does include a little MLB starting on Thursday morning. Nades, G Rise, and myself will be going live. Matt's going to be in the MLB mix. Of course, our man Ham in there as well. Really excited for the MLB season. And when that's going, it's going to be NHL, NASCAR, MMA, MLB, PGA, NBA. That is a lot of sports. That is a lot of money to be made. If you haven't tried us and you want to give us a try, and I think the 5 days for $19 is a great time now to use that, SaberSim and the Discord. If you just want NBA content, playoffs, we'll obviously still have you covered. Slate plan always, core reports, projections, Discord, a big piece of our product. You can find that as well under the single sports tab. All right, let me go back to boom. Next game on the slate. One we definitely have to talk about for a little while, the Memphis Grizzlies and the Atlanta Hawks looking at 14.5-point favorites are the Hawks, 240.5 total. On the Memphis side, Cam Spencer doubtful, Cedric Coward out, and then Javon Small questionable. On the Atlanta side, Jalen Johnson is questionable, like we keep talking about. Memphis side, I'll let you, they're a little easier to break down because, I mean, the Q tag Small, it's actually pretty important on this slate, but it's a lot easier to talk through. Jalen Johnson means a little more. I think Walter Clayton, though, would become one of the more popular plays on the slate at 4,200 if Small were to be out. Ty Jerome's price tag is definitely up there. Him and Gigi Jackson showing some ownership. Hawks side, yeah, Jalen Johnson. If he's out, CJ, Okongwu, Daniels, Nah, Kuminga, like these guys all look much, much better. And if Jalen Johnson's in, they're still implied for 127 points, which is the most on the slate, but they are expected to be blowing out the Grizzlies. So, yeah, I mean, take it away however you want. This is a game that we need news on, and thankfully it's only 30 minutes after lock.
I think the Atlanta side's actually a little bit easier to break down, weirdly enough, just because if Jalen Johnson's in, he looks like the best play, with all the other guys then just becoming like tournament plays with upside. Because to your point, they're in a great spot, and their price tags are conducive to them having upside, but they wouldn't look good in like a cash game setting. Jalen Johnson would be the only guy there, I think, that might look good. Not sure how the dust again would settle, but if he's out, then all of a sudden, all the guys you mentioned throwing in Mo Gay, presuming he starts. So we saw him start last time out instead of Kuminga. Kuminga still came in with real high ownership, was awful. I played him. I had a really good line that he destroyed. So salty about that, but I think you can go right back to all these guys. Just like off the top of my head ranking, and that's all it is because I would want projections to really do this. Probably Daniels, McCollum, Okongwu. Well, Daniels, Gay, McCollum, Okongwu, Kuminga, Nick Alexander Walker there. He's had a couple of really big games recently too, so I think you could make the case for like all 6 of those guys. We'll see how their starting lineup settles. If it's back to Kuminga, then I think he would again look really, really good here. So Atlanta, we just got to wait for the news. And I'm with you on Memphis. Obviously a much less of an important player in Javon Small, but for this slate, he matters because if he's in, the Memphis guard situation is pretty murky, except for Ty Jerome, who's going to play his minutes and be very productive in those minutes. You can get to him if you want. It's the same story. Like, he's just not going to play massive minutes, but he's really productive in the minutes he plays. The guys that I like, presuming Small is out, is Jerome and Clayton. So I think both those guys would start to pick up ownership steam, but deservedly so. I still don't know if I'd like them better than like a Jamal Shed, Kennedy Chandler type. But, you know, I know that the Raptors signed Markelle Fultz. So I'm seeing like, I don't know if he's available tonight, but let's just say that he is. And the DFS industry is playing Jamal Shed like he's the starting point guard. And all of a sudden, right before lock, it's Markelle Fultz that's starting. At that point, maybe you'd want more exposure to the Memphis guards. So like, there is a role for them on this slate, I think is the best way for me to put it.
Yeah, multiple people have been asking about Fultz. So what? He signed a 10-day contract an hour ago. No, I know, but like what he does, like we're gonna get to that a little later.
Does he even play tonight? I was gonna ask you thoughts there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna throw back to you. Expected to be available to make Raptors debut Monday. So my guess is yes, but like, I mean, how many minutes are we talking? 10 minutes? Like, can Fultz play 20 minutes? I think that's a little bullish. I would definitely take the under in 20 minutes. I mean, just signed a 10-day contract a little over an hour ago. They have bodies. I mean, 10, 15 minutes, like 2 rotations, 3 is kind of how I'm seeing it. And why we mention that is like a lot of the Toronto value, or a lot of the value on this slate is Toronto, and what you put Fultz's minutes projection at dictates what those Sheds and what those other guys are going to be projected at. In Memphis,
he ain't playing tonight. I'm seeing now he played 13 minutes already in the G League today. Like,
so he's available. Okay. Well, then, yeah, that makes it definitely a lot more difficult.
Right? Like, there's no way a guy like that, they're going to play in 2 games. Like, there's just no way.
Yeah, I mean,
Would seem bizarre.
They
To me.
have
Now, let's
enough
just say they
bodies.
do. Got to be very limited minutes if they play him tonight. Like it just has to be.
Oh man, who's gonna run backup one? Ingram, Scotty. Yeah, they got enough. They have enough ball handlers with BI and Scotty probably that they won't have
And
to.
don't forget the spot they're in against Utah. Like it's just not a stressful spot.
They're trying to win, obviously. Though I mean, like they have enough bodies. No, Fultz isn't in the pool. It's mainly about like if he gets minutes, it's going to take away from the sheds and some of this other value up top. But all right, my guess also is, or my thought is, if he just played 13 minutes in the G League, I take it he usually plays more than 13 minutes, knowing maybe that they would call him up to get a rotation or something. I don't know.
That's fair, but I guess my counter to that would be like playing more minutes in one game is different than playing like 13 in one game and then like 20 or 15 like hours later. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just, and I could see it. Like Kolek, I think did do that. A little bit of a different cat, you know, a guy that, you know, Fultz is very injury prone. That's kind of been his problem throughout his career. But I don't know. I see Brittany mentioning Point Scotty. It's funny because I could see that, but at the same time, I could also see center Scotty. Like if Utah goes small, like Toronto missing a couple of their big men, obviously Sandro, massive chalk. Like maybe we're looking at this the wrong way. Maybe it's not the guards we want to get away from. Maybe it's the big man. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. I just, again, what that Fultz's minutes impacts Shed and other Walters and other values projection. And if we get no small, Giroux and Walter Clayton, I mean, Jalen Wells would be, I think, solid too. Like Memphis would be a spot that you could go to value. I'd be very interested to see the projection on them, who they're starting, because that'll lead to the different ownership. But like even if Giroux comes off the bench and there's no small, would you be good playing him at 4K as a pivot from Walter, from Shed in that range?
Wait, repeat that.
So Walter Clayton starts if there's no small. Giroux, like there's Shed and Walter Clayton would clearly be higher owned. Can you use Giroux as a pivot? Him or Jalen Wells or like other value for the Memphis stuff, assuming there's no small. All right.
Oh yeah, definitely my opinion. Like
because he'd be way lower owned.
Way lower owned, and I think that, you know, we've seen it with Memphis. Like they're going to play their guys about the same minutes anyways. I don't even care that someone's coming off the bench, except for what you said. It's really going to lower their ownership. So, yeah, I think the Memphis guys that I like are like the same. I mean, Tyler Burton now probably hard to get to because he's 4K, and they got, I guess, a couple more bodies, but. Yeah, I think someone like Giroux would look like a real interesting pivot because, to your point, I'm with you. I think Clayton and obviously Shed are going to get a lot more ownership.
And then the last thing, like, if you're playing 5 teams, is Ty Jerome in any of them? Obviously, the minutes are capped to 24. I mean, he's played 24, 24, 24, 24, 24, 23, 24 in the past, like 7 or 8 games. Like, he's not playing more than 24 minutes, but that usage is insane. And he's had some 40-plus games in that mix.
It's a great question. No,
probably going to get Dyson treatment, which isn't great on the other side. The matchup's a little tougher, but
I'm going to say no, but I think I'm probably being stubborn. Like I'm just not playing him at this price. Like if I were playing 150, it's not like I would like X him out of the pool, but I just have a lot of trouble playing him if I'm hand building lineups. You know what I mean? So like, I think for me to get to Jerome, it would take me playing enough where I was simming out the lineups.
Yeah, that's fair. Man, he's been so good. Virginia was.
He's a baller too, man. I think that's honestly. I know he was so bad in the Indiana series last year in the playoffs. I don't know if you remember that. Like he got hosted. He was really really good for Cleveland in the regular season. They decided to pay Merrill over him. We'll see if that works out.
Yeah, no, I mean I followed him from the Virginia days. Tony Bennett, Brogdon. I used to love Virginia back in the day. Played boring ball.
Kyle Guy.
Played defense. Kyle Guy, sniper. Absolutely. But, I mean, man, yeah, when he's on the court, he was great 6-man for you guys for the Cavs. But 24 minutes, like he's not playing over 24 minutes. So at that price, it is a little difficult. But 30+% usage, I don't hate it. You could do worse as a contrarian mid-tier option. All right, next game on the slate, 8 p.m. Eastern, Houston Rockets and the Chicago Bulls, 8.5-point favorites of the Rockets, 232.5 total in this one. No new injuries on the Rockets side. As far as Chicago, no Ivy, no Yabusele, no Okoro, no Simons, and then Jalen Smith is questionable, which is a decent, relatively important Q tag. I'm not exactly sure how much Nick Richards I'd want at 4-1, but it would be a pivot off of Mamu. Tough for me to get to the Bulls stuff, but if you're looking, like you said, mid-tier contrarian spends, KD, Sengun, 8-9, 8-6. Again, Sengun just having center eligibility would keep his ownership down. Amen Thompson at 8-4. Reed Shepard's price has got up there at 6-4, but deservedly so. He's been a monster. I don't really have interest on the Bulls side. Curious to hear your take if there's no Smith, if you would get to Richards, but can one of these Rockets break the slate at relatively low ownership?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite calls on this slate, the guy that I'm going to be over on, and I don't know how many lineups I'm going to play yet, but I like Sengun a ton here. You said it, only center eligible, so his ownership is going to be low just because of that in itself. But man, what a good spot he's in. Good price tag. I think this is a big time Sengun spot here. So I'm planting my flag on him in this spot. Again, really good tag. Love picking on Chicago with opposing big men. So he's my guy tonight. That doesn't mean I don't like the other guys. KD, Amen Thompson, who's been balling lately. Reed Shepard was in that really good lineup I talked about that Kuminga tanked the other day. So yeah, he's been really, really good. Still a very fair tag for him starting. Like he's just a hooper. He's so good offensively that like he's going to get there a lot at this price tag in spots like this. So
he might be my
probably my second favorite guy from Houston. From the Bulls, I think you could make the tournament case for Giddey that I made earlier for SGA and like Edgecombe, but that's about it. It's really just Nick Richards. And no, I don't think he's a great pivot off of Mamu, but what happens like all of a sudden when like Toronto doesn't start Mamu or they do some weird stuff, then all of a sudden he looks really, really good. Right now, though, I'd probably just play Mamu and move on, and I like Sengun a lot, so I don't think I'll get to Richards, but I don't think he's a bad play either. So that's, I think, how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid point per minute guy, and I think that at the end of the day, like they're going to need size. If there's no Jalen Smith, Houston's really big, so it's a matchup that they're going to need Nick Richards. Yeah, I mean, I guess you can take a shot because we're not going to have Mamu starting news more than likely until 8:30 Eastern. This game already tips off. If he does go to the bench, that's going to be a lot of ownership on him. Where
the problem is how cheap Mamu is the problem.
He's really cheap.
Even if he doesn't start, like that's the big problem with Mamu.
But if he doesn't start and the ownership's still the same, just for
he'll be overowned, no doubt.
And Richards is only 600 more. Like, I mean, it's pretty much in the same ballpark on a slate where like we're not starving for value or hunting for every penny to save. So the more I think about it, the more Nick Richards I think would be pretty solid. What if Jalen Smith does play at 5,400? Great point per minute guy. No, all right.
Nah, I'm out on him here. I don't think he plays enough minutes to matter.
Yeah. How many minutes would you project Giddey for? I think that's Sabres showing 33. 33 at 9,800, and this matchup is a little difficult. You tell me 36 though, sitting at 5%, knowing his triple-double upside. Easier to play a Rocket on the other side maybe because the game stays close and you double spend that way to get different. How many minutes do you think Giddey's going to get?
Yeah, no, I'm with the projection just because I don't have like an ultimate take for me to want to override that. But yeah, like we've seen him play close to 40 a bunch recently. So like all of a sudden you get the game script where this game is close. I mean, Chicago has had no hesitation playing him big minutes on many an occasion. So
yeah,
I like Sengun. Like I compared him earlier to like the SGA and Edgecombs and like pairing those guys. I'm more likely to pair Giddey with Sengun just because I'm playing Sengun. So like I don't have to pair Giddey with him at all, but I'm playing Sengun over the guys from the OKC game. So yeah, I think Giddey as a run back, certainly in play. The problem is like, you know, if you're playing a couple Houston guys, then you want Giddey as the run back, right? Because like you want this game to be competitive. But at that point, you're spending up on like Şengün and whoever, KD, Shepherd, and then like, are you trying to allocate all your salary on this game? Probably not. I mean, but again, we're also trying to win tournaments, and there are ways where this game goes nuts. So I
It
see
would be
both
harder.
sides of it, I guess.
It would be harder for me to go. Like, I'd almost be a max 1 KD, Thompson, Sengun, especially in hand builds, and then I'd be fine playing Reed Shepherd with any of those guys. And so that's two kind of like one spend, one mid tier, and then you can go
I
Giddy
see
on
it
the
the
other
exact
side.
same way.
Yeah, and then you can go like I like Giddy more than SGA. I like Giddy more than KD. I like Giddy more than Thompson. I like Giddy more than Bam. I like
Okay.
Giddy. Already said SGA. But like the more I'm looking into it, and if Jalen Johnson doesn't play, I mean, it's going to be Luka, Wemby, who I obviously like better but more popular. SGA, I like Giddy more. Then it's a big price difference. Giddy's in a tier of his own. Then there's Bam, Paulo. A lot of people are going to go Paulo over him, and rightfully so. But it just, man, like you said, like Chicago's played it straight up a lot more than I expected. He's played upper 30 minutes in multiple games. And if he does,
He just
I mean,
played 37 in a game they came back from
yeah,
30 from against the Cavs. The Cavs are up like 30 in that game. Man, you're talking me into some Giddy because I want to like Giddy. My big problem with Giddy is the matchup. Houston, we know, can like just shut teams
for
down, but they
sure.
also can play with their food. And like you saw a couple guys from Miami like go nuts against them last game. I might be in on Giddy, and you're really flipping the build then. If you play
Yeah.
like Giddy and Şengün, you can play anyone you want with them. So I dig it.
Giddy, Sengun, Paulo, or something like that if you want to fade 10K plus. And that's one way to do it. But yeah, you have a flag plan on Sengun. I think Giddy makes some sense on the other side for sure. Nick Richards, the other play, if there is no Jalen Smith. All right, 2 games left, 9 p.m. Eastern, 1 hour after that other game. The Toronto Raptors and the Utah Jazz, 10.5-point favorite to the Raptors, 230.5 total in this one. On the Toronto side, why these guys are getting ownership. No Quickly, no Jakob Poeltl. Colin Murray-Boyles is questionable. On the Utah side, Cody Williams questionable, and no Isaiah Collier. So yeah, sort my ownership. Mamu, Shed, Scotty, RJ Barrett, Kennedy Chandler for the Utah side, Harkless for Utah. No Collier, obviously no Keontae George. That leaves Chandler and Harkless to be pretty solid plays. I don't hate sense about either. I know that mid-range price tag at 6.6, but that dude just gets the job done. He just fills it up at the end of the day. So in the game, getting a lot of ownership, whether it's going to be Scotty up top, RJ mid-tier, or the value, I think Sensabaugh is an interesting pivot. But yeah, I mean, you need some pieces of this game. Do you think Mamu starts? That's kind of what the industry expects. And yeah, I mean, you can see just center eligible, but probably the chalkiest play on the slate. Makes a lot work. Great point per minute guy. Anytime he has the minutes and a great matchup, then take it away with the rest of this game.
I do think he starts, but I also think he's going to be overowned even if he starts. So to your point, like if he's coming off the bench because for some weird reason, then certainly worth getting away from because I think he's going to be over. I think he's going to be like one of these. We've talked about it, man. Like me and you on this show a bunch. Mamu's going to be like 85% in higher stakes single entry stuff. Like it just is what it is. If he's starting 3,500, really tough to get away from. Just because we know how productive he can be. And he can get there off the bench and basically any type of game script at this price tag. So him and Shed, him more than Shed, but Shed as well at 3,400 with no Quickly. Again, guys that can just get there in any type of game script. So I like both them a lot. I think Scotty Barnes 8,200 is cheap for Barnes' upside. He looks good here. Barrett at 73. Brandon Ingram at 78. All these guys are cheaper than they've been in a really good spot with guys out. So, I mean, you definitely want some of Toronto tonight. It's just a matter of how you get that exposure. I'm interested in Utah too, though. Kennedy Chandler is a baller. I must have a thing for like Utah point guards because I love Keontae. Obviously, my love for Isaiah Collier is well known. And Chandler, although he's doubtful to be there long term, I've always been a fan of his game. Hooper at Tennessee, Hooper when he's been in the NBA, coming off a monster game in his first game in like a couple years, I think. Yeah, I like Kennedy Chandler here. Harkless, I'm fine with, although his price tag is a little bit little bit much for me probably. And then two other guys. You mentioned one of them, Bryce Sensabaugh. Can I interest you in some Ace Bailey? He is pricey, but man, check his game log recently. And this is the guy that I really think might be coming into his own. So, like, I'm not playing him because of his last two games, but he might be under projected right now.
You
Simply
can
for the fact
interest
he's
me.
young, taking a ton of shots. Like, if this game is competitive, I could see Sensabaugh and Bailey both getting there. I'm interested. Give me your take.
33 and 34 minutes. Right now, we have SaberSim has it projected at 29 minutes. If it is the 33 and 34 mark over over a fantasy point per minute, right there, you can bump them up to like 36.5, something like that. Shows for over 5x value, only 5% owned. That's stuff I like to do there. And yeah, and he's been very efficient. I think him and Sensabaugh, like you said, it's ways to get exposure to this game on the other side of like everyone's playing the Toronto stuff. And at the end of the day, Utah 111, that's what they're implied for. Not great, not terrible. 10.5 point underdogs, like that's not great. But you look at this slate, 16.5, 12.5, 14.5. If it's a 10-point game late in the fourth quarter, obviously Utah doesn't really want to win, but I do think Bailey and Sensabaugh will be out there if they're down 10. And if you get full run 33, 35 minutes, like give me Ace Bailey and his point per minute production all day long. So I think him and Sensabaugh are very solid mid-tier pivots like we talked about earlier in the slate. You're going to want to eat chalk. The value chalk is what looks strong. I think that's one way to get different in this for sure. So I like it a lot.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I know someone called out Barnes is a great defender. They don't like Bailey, and I get that. And that's probably part of the reason he's going to be very, very low owned. It's an ownership play just with the upside. Like, he doesn't project great, and I don't think you should play him in like cash game settings. But in tournaments, I think he's an interesting look.
How would we rank Raptors big three? You saying big
Probably
three?
Barnes,
Like,
Barrett, Ingram.
yeah, Barnes, Barrett, Ingram. I don't know.
Very
Maybe I'd say
interchangeable,
Barrett.
though.
Yeah, maybe I'd say Barrett one just because of the $1,200
Sure.
savings there. But I don't have too strongly. Would you play two of them?
I don't see why not. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think you have to, but I think they're priced certainly right where you could. Like, I think there are slates here where three of them are in play.
Like all three of the big ones?
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the prices are you're getting for the matchup. If they do get full run and it's close enough in the fourth quarter, they are definitely underpriced for this matchup for no quickly. So yeah, I'd be fine with two of them. Three of them might be a little more difficult. Would you be fine playing four Raptors? Scotty, Barrett, Sandro, Shed.
I'd be fine with it, but I probably won't handle it that way. So I'm not like looking to just jam four Raptors in, but I'd be fine with it. And I might, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know again how the cookie's gonna crumble on my particular lineups on this slate, but I could see it just especially because maybe backloading a little bit more, waiting for some weird news. I don't think that's a crazy idea either. And this game allows you to do that.
Yeah. The problem is this game's an hour after the other six, and then the Golden State Dallas game, maybe a piece here or there, but it's not the most appealing for DFS. But yeah, I mean, for this, you definitely we like Sensabaugh, we like Bailey, there's Chandler, Harkless, there's Utah stuff, and then definitely Toronto stuff, obviously, is the chalk. So if there's one premier game of the night, obviously real life and DFS is completely different, but I would say this is the premier DFS game of the night and why it is so fun. All right, last game of the slates, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks. 1.5 point favorites of the Warriors, 231.5 total in this one. On the Golden State side, no Quentin Post. Moses Moody is questionable for the Dallas side. Caleb Martin questionable. Brandon Williams doubtful. I mean, if Draymond's really 22%, no thank you at all. Porzingis 6K. The minutes obviously aren't there as much, but a great fantasy point per minute guy. I think if I'd go into this game, I think Cooper Flag at 8.8 as a contrarian spend. And I don't know. I was going to say a little Gary Payton at 4.6 in that mid-range value-ish stuff, but you need a lot. You need more than 5x for those guys on a slate like this. So how do you see it, Warriors and the Mavs?
I don't see it. Like, I don't like it. I don't like this game. Josh Willingham with the adding Jason Kerr and Steve Kidd as a standalone 930. I mean, that's just dirty work. That is nasty work right there by DK, by the NBA, all the above. I'm out. The only thing I'll say is like I say that kind of in jest because prices aren't bad in this game. I don't think they stand out considering the value we have, but from the Dallas side, Najee Marshall, PJ Washington, two mid-tier plays that I think are in play, if nothing else. And I feel similarly about like D'Anthony Melton, Draymond Green getting a little bit of ownership. I don't think I like this game as much as the field, but I'm kind of worried I'm off there, and this game might have more appeal than I'm giving it credit for. Porzingis likely to play. Cooper Flag's the obvious piece from Dallas. I like Sengun more at the same tag. Certainly you could play them both. Like maybe you don't play Giddy, maybe you just play Cooper Flag. I'm not sure. I'm light on this game, but again, maybe I have a kind of weird inclination that I could be burned here. How do you see this game?
I don't love it much. I mean, Flag played 40 minutes last game. If he's still able, like if they're still willing to roll out Flag for 35 plus, I'll definitely always have interest at 8.8K. So I think he's the one as like a contrarian right in that Paulo range. You can obviously play him with Paulo too, but I think that's my favorite way to go about it. I never mind playing Najee Marshall, guard forward eligibility. I think if I was going to go Warriors side, KP's tough. It'd probably be Melton or Gary Payton, and probably Gary Payton for guard forward eligibility and his price tag. But I'm also always just a Gary Payton guy. The glove, like if I need a guy on my team, Gary Payton's someone I want on my team. We'll pick you up full court. Yeah, the mitten. The glove's his dad. He's the mitten. We'll pick you up full court, plays above the rim. Doesn't always translate to DFS, though, and there's a lot of good mid-tier value plays. So probably Flag, and that's about it for me in this one. There's 8 games. Like Memphis stuff's good. Atlanta stuff could be really good. We're more bullish on Giddy than most. You like Sengun more than most. Toronto, Utah is good. Luka, Wemby is spends. You just can't play everything at the end of the day, but it has OT possibility. I mean, with a lot of big spreads, when this one's 1.5, you can always play that route. Obviously, you need a lot to go right for a game to go to OT, though. So I don't love doing that on big slates.
Dallas just coming off an OT game. I guess that's another reason I'm a little hesitant. All these guys played massive minutes in that OT loss to the Clippers. That said, Najee Marshall, 40-plus fantasy points in 3 out of 4, and he's 6,400. You give me 40 here at 6,400, I'll take that all day. So
absolutely
interesting. Like I'm more off this than on it just because I think there's better plays across the slate, but not going to be surprised if a couple guys get here from this game in, again, a game that could very easily be one of the more competitive on the slate. I just think there are better plays on paper across the landscape of the other games.
I agree, and stuff can only get better with these Q tags, like a Jalen Johnson and other stuff there. So I don't see myself having it too much. But hey, big 3-3-3-3 out there. Maybe that game, couple pieces late, might be chasing down our man Matt or Rio or any other Shipping Nation logo in that contest. Again, if you do want to give us a try at Shipping Nation, you haven't checked us out, all you got to do is shippingnation.com. Join the nation, bottom left. Can get in as low for $9 for the day. Get you Saber Sim, no Discord. 5 days, though, is the best value, in my opinion. 5 days for $19. MLB on Thursday, opening day. We got you covered there. That'll take you through it. You can see stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings, the stone. Really excited for baseball streets. I know our guy Matt is as well. MMA is this week. NASCAR is this week. NHL going on. PGA, always big prizes there. Of course, NBA. So I think the best deal, if you want to give us a try, 5 days, $19. Get you Saber Sim, get you Discord, a big piece. But if you do just want a single sport, if you just want NBA or any of these sports up there, you can find that under the single sport tab. Matt, awesome talking to you. Your internet was phenomenal. I hope you enjoy the nice weather in Florida. But any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
No, man. Always love breaking these slates down with you. We got a good Monday night one tonight with Big Boy Contest. So hopefully someone with that Ship It logo takes it down.
Absolutely. Hope it is you, Matt, up at the top. Hope it is anyone watching. Do us a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe on the way out. Maybe gives you a little extra chance for some run good at the end. That'll do it. Appreciate everyone hanging out. For Matt, I'm Tidal. Good luck. Be safe. Be back tomorrow. Peace.